you're speeding. You get pulled over. Which so far is what happened with Tyreek Hill. He was on his way to the football game. He got pulled over for speeding. They came over, and he would not open his car window or door, and that is because he was trying to get a hold of his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, and they began knocking on his window, to which he lowered the window and told him to stop knocking on his car because it was an expensive car. Are you? I know we see a lot of these videos where cops walk up to the car, and they just hold their driver's license up to the window so they can see it, or they just crack it and hand it through. What is the law for there?
Well, with the Tyreek situation, and Carmen was nice enough, she put the video up, but I did see it earlier, yesterday when it was released. His window was down. So when the officer comes up, you can clearly see his windows all the way down.
Right.
Tyreek hands the officer his information. They're chatting because the body cam is the officer behind the stopping officer.
Okay.
But we don't have any video of the driving conduct. So whether he was speeding or reckless driving, or we don't have any video. They didn't flip the switch because they can do that. They have body cams. They can just flip the switch and say, all right, well, what's the driving conduct of this particular vehicle? If they have it, they haven't released it. So his window is down. He's talking with the officer. He gives him the information, presumably his driver's license and an ID and all that. And then they're talking. Then the other officer turns back, and then I believe Tyreek thinks, all right, this officer is going to go now and run his information, process him for a ticket, thinking he's going to walk away. Is my understanding. If you listen to, the audio does have curse words, so we can't, we can't.
Do we have the audio, Carmen?
I have the audio that Galvin sent me earlier, but
that's edited audio because it starts in a certain area and stuff.
Okay, all right.
But the unedited audio does have curse words in it.
Cursing.
Yeah, a lot. So I don't know whether you want to.
All right, no.
Yeah, and which is interesting because it's law enforcement cursing at Tyreek, which.
But Tyreek also curses back at them eventually.
Right, that does happen. So his window's down. He's given the information, and then. My understanding is he thinks that the officer is going to walk. As the officer walks away, to usually run your information behind you. Now, mind you, there's 4 officers here. Not one. There's 4, at least 4 that I can count.
Right.
All right. So what Tyreek does, in my opinion, that he probably should not have done, is when he rolls the window all the way up. Now, for officer safety, that was a problem because you can't see what the driver inside's doing.
Okay.
So and they don't know. A lot of folks have weapons, and it's so the officer safety factor, because when he rolls his window up, it's tinted, and all you see is the reflection of the officer. That was really the only problem that I can ascertain from Tyreek's side. He then cracks the window back down again because the officer is banging on the window and says lower it. He comply. He lowers it. And then this officer loses patience and says, if you don't lower it, I'm going to have you come out of the vehicle, which he can lawfully order somebody to do. But before Tyreek can even respond or comply.
So let me interrupt you for a second. So if I'm in the car and I'm being investigated for a traffic stop and they say to get out of the car, I have to get out of the car.
That's true. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In the state of Florida, if they say, please exit the vehicle, yes, you have to do that. There is case law on that right on point.
Okay.
And a lot of that, it comes from officer safety. They don't want folks to take off. They want to protect the community. They want to make sure there's no immediate harm or weapons around there. So a lot of this is officer, trooper, and deputy safety is the background story behind it. The problem that Miami-Dade here has, which is when you look at it, you think initially I thought this was troopers because they're wearing tan, but in Miami-Dade, I think that's the color of their uniform. The second officer, the body cam officer, he is the one that, in my opinion, loses his patience and temper.
Not a Dolphins fan.
Well, I don't know what they are, but it was clear to me, and I don't know, again, if folks can watch the video, when the stopping officer who's got his information has him roll down the window and says, listen, we're not going to play this game. Roll the window down so I can see you. Again, officer safety. Tyreek starts to roll the window down. Then the other one says, no, we're out of here. And then opens the door and then yanks him out of the car.
Right. So the one officer, which I think has already been put on leave, is the one that gets aggressive and opens the door and yanks him out of there.
Administrative leave. So in my opinion, when I look at this traffic stop, Tyreek's window was down initially. He exchanged information with law enforcement. He's probably thinking, all right, this gentleman has my info. He's going to go back to the squad car. He's going to run my information, maybe come back with a ticket. He rolls his window up. He's on the phone, I believe, with his agent, Drew Rosenhaus.
Yep.
The officer didn't leave the door. He was still there, and now the window's up. Now, he can't see what's going on in there. Well, obviously, that's a problem. We just talked about it. He knocks on it. He lowers the window down. He says, we're not going to play this game. You need to lower the window down so I can see in completely. And then the other officer jumps the gun, says, no, you're out. And then they proceed to pull him out of the car. To me, legally, what Tyreek did or what he was correcting, the officers did not give him adequate time to comply with their commands.
Right.
And so you got to understand what I'm saying is if an officer gives you information or instruction, but you have multiple officers there,
right,
you got to give the driver, the citizen, time, right, to comply.
Yeah, but listen, let's not. We also have to take into consideration. Dom's a huge Dolphins fan. He's only going to be on Tyreek Hill's side.
Yeah. I'm not discrediting that.
That 80-yard touchdown was sweet on Sunday.
I'm going to tell you, thank you, Gio. I'm going to tell you right now, as a Dolphins fan, when I heard the story before seeing the video, I was pissed, and I would have been biased as hell. If I was a judge, I'd probably have to recuse myself just because I'm a Dolphins fan, and I do not lie to you. I will tell you all the truth. However, stepping out of being a fan of the Miami Dolphins, and of course living in South Florida, when you look at this frame by frame, okay, what could Tyreek have done differently, just like any other motorist in Florida?
Well, he's definitely entitled. He feels entitled. Like when they pulled him over, he was like, What do you want? Hurry up and give me the ticket. I got to go. I got to play. Oh, well, let me tell you something. We're not all on your schedule, okay? You broke the law. Now you'll leave when we tell you to leave.
Yeah, and that's true as well. I mean, when I get stopped, it's happened. It hasn't happened in a long time, but I'm always very polite. Thank you for your service.
I could never say to a police officer, "Well, hurry up, I got someplace to go."
Yeah,
never. I mean, not even out of fear, just out of respect.
Yeah. Well, I remember the one time that I had an issue with a trooper is I was coming out of Polk County, and I was coming where Polk County connects to I-4. You have that loop. I can't remember what the 718, whatever the hell that road is, and you loop back on the I-4. Well, he hit me before I come on the bend for the exit. Well, there is no place to pull over on the ramp without really being, in the roadway,
right,
in traffic. So what I did was I just proceeded through the loop and the ramp, and as soon as I came out on I-4, I pulled off to the side all the way to the right because you had a wide embankment, clear off the road. And this trooper comes running up and screaming and hollering. And he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And I said, "Good morning, trooper. Nice to see you." Very calm.
Nothing makes him angry.
I said, "Good morning, trooper. Nice to see you." "What the hell are you doing? You didn't pull over." I said, "First of all, thank you for your service." I swear to God.
I just shot you on the site.
I thank you for your service. I said, full disclosure, I'm an attorney. I just came from the Polk County Bartow Courthouse. I said, where you put the lights on was not a safe place for me to pull over for you or for myself.
Right.
I've represented a lot of law enforcement in my personal injury practice that's been hit or clipped on the side of the road. So for your safety and mine, I figured I'd pull over here on I-4, and now you can talk with me, give me a ticket, and both of us can do it safely. What else do you need? And he kind of looked at me, and I had all my information. There's my insurance card. Here's my registration. Here's my ID. And then he calmed down. He took the information and did what he did, came back and gave me a ticket. I said, all right, thank you very much.
He gave you the ticket? Even after you thanked him for his service?
He gave me a ticket, which was fine. He gave me a ticket, and then I had someone represent me, actually, went to Polk County, hired an attorney to represent me, and they took care of it.
Yeah, and look, at least you didn't drag you out of the car and put you in handcuffs.
But I'm not condoning if Tyreek had listen, if a motorist has a short attitude with somebody, law enforcement's trained to deal with that. If Tyreek says, look, I'm in a hurry or I got to play a game, that's probably not the nicest thing to say with law enforcement. It's rude. But these guys are trained to de-escalate a situation.
That's the problem that I saw is, even if he's being a dick and he's being a dick because he's a multimillionaire and, everybody loved him and all that stuff, they definitely didn't de-escalate. They definitely went right back at him. And, my knee, I had surgery on my knee. You have surgery on your ears because you're not hearing what I'm saying,
and
all
they're
that
cursing
stuff.
at him.
And that's Al Galvin's 100% correct. And what I would have done if I had the officer, and when he cracked the window, I would lean in and say, listen, I need to run your information for my safety and yours. I can't see in the vehicle. Could you please roll the window down and I'll be right back.
Right.
That's all he had to say. Now, Tyreek's going to look at him and say, all right, well, that makes sense. I don't think Tyreek's going to look at somebody and say, no, and I'm going to roll it back up again. I mean, if you just say, look, it's for my safety and yours, roll it down. And I talk to a lot of law enforcement. I see them all the time in traffic court. And if they're just going to say, look, this is my name, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, and I'll be right back, and we'll get this thing resolved. Now, but these officers jumped the gun, in my opinion. They had zero patience, they had zero tolerance, and they were all overly aggressive to that citizen. Or I don't care if he's a Dolphins player or not. He's a citizen.
I think they know Tyreek Hill's a scumbag and they wanted to rough him up.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Listen, what I would do
this is a guy that beat up his pregnant girlfriend. I mean,
what did she say?
Yeah.
I would do the background. These guys, Jets fans, are they Buffalo fans? I want to know the background for these officers.
Beat up his pregnant girlfriend, broke his kid's arm. I mean, the guy's a scumbag. I think they just knew it and wanted to rough him up.
Is Tyreek Hill the same guy that the photographer got in trouble for whenever he took the picture and did that stuff, and he was in the end zone, and he knew him since college and everything, and then he
with the phone,
and then he wound up paying his.
Yes,
all his salary because he got let go by the NFL.
And now that kid works in the NFL as like a photographer. Or whatever. Yeah.
So I was on his side on that. I was like, oh, this is a nice guy, but I didn't know about the breaking the arm and the
he
punching the wife.
Pled guilty to beating up his pregnant girlfriend.
Listen, I don't know what she said to bring that on, and having children, I can understand wanting to break their arms.
Yeah.
I thought that it was really excessive when the officer pushed him to the ground after he had said that he had knee surgery. I thought that was where they really crossed the line.
None of that need to happen. And if the folks looking at the video, it was the second officer that pulls him out of the car, opens the door comes up, not out because of the design of the car.
Right.
And pulls him out. That, in my opinion, and I look, you guys know I love law enforcement and I support law enforcement, but
sure.
that conduct by this particular officer in this situation was unnecessary. Even if they opened the door and asked them to come out, give him an opportunity to open the door and come out.
Yeah.
That was never afforded to him. And again, I'm not condoning being rude or disrespectful to law enforcement, but even if you've got an attitude, law enforcement's trained to deal with that.
Yeah.
Be patient, de-escalate the situation, and you come out of the vehicle. And if they want him to come out and stand there, they can absolutely do it. But they yanked him out of the car. That's why that officer's on administrative leave.
Yeah,
because
I think rightfully so.
Or they breached their protocol. They have a standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
And that SOP, which I've read these SOPs tons of times with different agencies and departments,
I don't know if
violated
there's any reason to call names. Or
Well, SOP, standard operating procedure, not SOB. But thank you for the clarification.
That's different than POS.
Yeah.
Too.
Yes, thank you. If somebody misheard me, I would have gotten in trouble. No, they're not.